Yes. Now what happened was, gradually a large part of South India came under his control. Under whose control? Under Bukka Rai. Dynasties, the Vijay, the kingdom of Vijayanagar lasted for 230 years. Kings called Rayas from three main dynasties ruled the kingdom. The Sangama dynasty, 1336 to 1485. Saluva dynasty is from 1485 to 1505. And the Tulava dynasty is from 1505 to 1565. These dates are very important, please. Foreign travelers. Now, because of foreign travelers, we come to know what was the actual place all about. So, foreign travelers. Many travelers such as Niccolo Conti, Abdur Razak. I told you just now, Abdur Razak was sent, he was a Persian ruler who had come to the Vijayanagar kingdom to the south. And Domingo Pace visited the kingdom of Vijayanagar. They have described the capital city of Hampi and the life of people in those times. Krishna Deva Raya. After Bukka, I guess he came into. They were called Rayas. The kings were called Rayas. So Krishna Deva, 1509 to 1530. But here the Tulava dynasty is 1505 to 1565. That means he is a part of that Tulava dynasty. The greatest ruler of Vijayanagar empire was Krishna Deva Raya. He defeated the Bahamani Sultan and the king of Odisha. He also annexed Raichur Doab, a very fertile area between the Krishna and the Tunga Bhadra rivers. If you see in the map, you will come to know. Under him, the empire covered the whole of South India. They took over whole of South India. The king encouraged trade and commerce. He established trade links with the Portuguese. Why did they able to do with the English and the Dutch and the Portuguese? Because South India, you have the Bay of Bengal, you have the Arabian Sea, and you have the Indian Ocean. Three parts of water you have, and you can just do any type of commerce trade. You can do that because you have the docks. He also paid great attention to agriculture. He built many tanks, dams and canals for irrigation. Do you recall the name of the Delhi Sultan who encouraged irrigation? Who was that? Try to decide. I will not tell you. Administration. What was the administration type under Krishna Deva Raya? The king was the supreme authority. A council of ministers assisted him. Everywhere it's the same. The empire was divided into mandalams, provinces, like we have states now. Each headed by a governor. Nadus were districts. We also have districts. Sthalas, sub-districts. We also have sub-districts. And gramas, villages. We have villages also. Local self-government, we have that. A characteristics of feature of the Chola administration, if you go back to the regional kingdom part 1, decayed during this period. It got decayed. They brought in their own rules. Village administration became a feudal in nature. Administrative posts also became hereditary. Increasingly, the king became dependent on feudal lords. Now, what are feudal lords? What do you understand by feudal lords? Okay. Now, when I give you one explanation, I have to understand that you are able to understand. That's how I go ahead and explain you. Old-fashioned, absolutely outdated or old-fashioned, patriotism of a feudal thing. Okay, it's an adjective, according to or denoting the system, or we can say primitive, out of date, archaic, outmoded, superannuated, antiquated. Okay, these are the things we can say. What are feudal lords? Feudal lords are the nobles, the dukes, aristocrats. Okay, the landowner, they are feudal lords. Outdated. Social system, long ago which was happening, so that's called feudal. Okay, so it was an outdated thing, but they were going on with it. So it says here, the king became dependent on the feudal lords because it was hereditary. Everywhere the Chola administration was not working there. What was the economic condition? Vijayanagar was a very rich kingdom. It owed its prosperity to agriculture and trade and commerce. Revenue from the land was the main source of income. It was levied according to the fertility of the land. In addition, there was other taxes such as on property, sales of good, profession and marriage also you had to pay a tax. A flourishing trade enriched the empire. Vijayanagar kingdom was really, the empire was really very flourished. South India is too good. Read about the developments in architecture and literature during the Vijayanagar in lessons 6 and 10. We'll come to know more. End of the empire. Why did the empire end? But before that, Hampi in Karnataka is the world's second largest World Heritage Site. Only the Great Barrier Reef in Australia is ahead of it. Rest, Hampi is there. After that comes the Great Barrier Reef of Australia, the World Heritage Site, the reefs. We go down the water, and the second one is the Hampi in Karnataka. Excuse me. Why did the empire end? How did it end? Or rather, what are the reasons for it ending? End of the empire. Now, the empire became weak after the death of Krishna Deva Raya. Okay. The neighboring kingdoms of the Deccan joined hands and defeated the ruler of Vijayanagar in 1565 in the Battle of Talikota. The Deccan, just above them is the Deccan part. They are coming down and taking over. The Bahamani kingdom, before that we'll just read this, when robbers turned gardeners. How did robbers become gardeners? How did they change their life? One day, two notorious robbers who had been imprisoned, sent an appeal to the king Krishna Deva Raya. Lord, we have robbed many people, but we have realized our mistake now. We shall not commit any crime in future. Please let us free. The king had an idea. Okay, well, you have a rare talent of robbing people. If you can steal jewelry from Tenali Rama's house without being caught, I shall release you. Tenali Rama was one of his ministers. The robbers accepted the challenge. They were released for a day. As night fell, they entered Tenali Rama's garden and hid themselves behind a bushy plant. Tenali used to wash his feet before dinner. When he went to the garden to wash his feet, he noticed the men. He immediately realized that they had come to rob him. He thought of a plan. He yelled to his wife, "Hey, thieves are roaming the streets during the night these days. Let us tie all the jewelry in a bundle and throw it into the well. The thieves will never be able to guess that this is our hiding place." He is knowingly saying that so that they listen. Tenali Rama quickly went back and hid the jewelry and other valuables. He put some bricks in a sari and made a bundle. Then he went outside and threw the bundle into the well. He went back into the house, closed the door behind him. After a while, he entered the backyard to keep a watch on the thieves. The thieves could not believe their luck. One of them guarded the well while the other got in and began searching for the jewelry. But however hard he tried, he could not spot the bundle. The thief got out and told the other fellow, "Brother, I did not see that bundle. Let us empty the well and only then we shall find it." Now they are going to take out the full water of the well. Oh my God. The thieves at once started drawing out water from the well. Unseen by them, Tenali had made a small channels from the well to the plants drying up in the backyard. He used to pour water. He had made water channels to the backyard of his house so that the water, when anyone throws the water, whatever water throws, it will go to the garden at the back for plants. The thieves kept drawing water, but the water did not seem to lessen. Meanwhile, it became dawn. One of the thieves got into the well, and after searching for some time, he came out with the bundle. Both were overjoyed. On untying it, they found bricks inside. Realizing that the clever Tenali had made a fool of them, they tried to slip away. Meanwhile, Tenali had been watching them all along. He shouted, "Hey, thanks for watering my plants. There are still few left. Will you not draw water for them too?" Hearing these words, the thieves took to their heels. They were later caught and put back into prison. When the king heard how Tenali Rama had tricked the thieves, he praised Tenali's presence of mind. Okay, we'll come back in the next video.